Hello, my loyal subjects. It is very nice to see you here today once more. Here we go again. It is another English Addict live stream coming to you from, well, you know where it's coming from. Do you really need me to tell you? I think you know already. Coming to you live from the birthplace of the English language, which just happens to be, oh my goodness, it's England. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy? Just like the Queen right here. I really hope so. Here we go again. Yes, we are back together, and you may have noticed that something very special is happening here in the UK, across England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and also Scotland as well. It is the Jubilee weekend. In fact, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and also today. Lots of things happening as a way of celebrating this lady being on the throne for 70 years. 70! Count them all. And she has been a constant presence through many people's lives, including my own, I suppose. As a child, I would always wave to the Queen on television. I would always say, oh, there's the Queen of England. There she is. I have seen the Queen once, only once. I saw her when I was in London and she was visiting a local hospital, and I saw her walk out the hospital, and she got in the car and went by, and I think for a moment she did wave at me. I think so. We saw each other. Our eyes met through her bulletproof glass. It was such a wonderful moment. So the Queen is celebrating her 70 years on the throne, and I suppose I can be celebrating as well. Would you mind if I steal some of the Queen's limelight? Because I am approaching my 1 millionth subscriber. Does it mean anything special? Will my life change in an amazing way? No, not really. Things will carry on as normal. However, for this lady, things have been anything but normal over the past few days, because we have been celebrating. We had street parties, we had celebrations, we had aeroplanes flying over, we had lots of celebrations. We had the concert last night outside Buckingham Palace, and I'm going to be honest with you. Can I just be honest? I did not recognise most of the people singing. I had no idea who they were. So just in case you were watching last night and you were thinking, I have no idea who most of these people are, can I just say that I was thinking the same thing, and many people as well across the UK were wondering who those people were taking part in the celebration. Even Elton John couldn't be bothered to go there. He just made a video and they projected the video onto the wall, onto the front facade of Buckingham Palace. So it has been a rather busy 4 days. Today everything comes to a climax. Sorry for saying that. I hope you're not offended, my dear. Everything comes to an end today. We have a big pageant taking place in London. Lots of people, hundreds of thousands of people are lining the streets. And they're just the ones sleeping rough, to be honest. That's all I'm saying about that. Here we go then. We have made it all the way to the weekend. A very busy weekend here. Mr. Steve was very happy, of course, because he was able to have some extra holiday. So 2 extra days off for Mr. Steve. So he was feeling rather happy about that, to say the least, as you can imagine. We also had some lovely weather. So Steve and myself, we decided to have some lovely long walks on Thursday, Friday and Saturday. So we did have quite a nice time. And we did also watch some of the celebrations taking place as well. By the way, if you're wondering who I am, hello. My name is Duncan. And I broadcast to you live from the United Kingdom today. Can you see a lot of flag waving today going on? I hope you don't mind. And I talk about the English language. Normally I talk about verbs, adjectives, phrases, sentences, maybe words that you've never heard of before. Normally that's what I do. But today we're talking about all sorts of other things as well. The Queen of England. And of course, the Queen of English. Yes, don't forget that. So now we know who I am. I can safely say that we have made it to the end of another weekend and another week. Yes, it's Sunday. Welcome, everyone. Sunday has returned and everything is rather nice. It's okay, I suppose. For those wondering, Mr. Steve will be here as well, helping us all to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And maybe you're wondering why we are getting so excited about this. Well, first of all, we will never see another Platinum Jubilee. It will probably never happen in our lifetimes, or maybe even our children's lives. So that's one of the reasons why this particular Jubilee has been celebrated so much and is seen as special, because it's the first time ever that we've had a monarch on the throne for 70 years. So it is a big thing, I suppose. Sadly, the Queen, a little bit under the weather. She is 96 after all. When you get to 96, you find that you can't do the things that you used to do, like stand up and walk and not fall over all the time. So we can forgive the Queen for not being there. I think so. Coming up today, we are looking at things that people believe the British are like. British stereotypes. When we talk about stereotypes, we are talking about the things that people assume about certain groups or certain individuals. We make assumptions. You assume something. So when you see a certain person, maybe there are characteristics of that person that you make judgments about. Maybe the way they look, maybe the way they dress, or maybe the shape of their body, or maybe the colour of their skin. You see? Stereotypes. So today we are talking about stereotypes that people have of British people. And that's what we're looking at today. Another thing we're looking at, of course, is the live chat. Hello, live chatters. Nice to see you here as well. I know that we have some people absent today. We have a few people absent. I don't think Lewis is here. So there is no Lewis today. I don't know who else isn't here. I don't think Claudia is not here today either. So I received a lovely email from Claudia saying, Mr. Duncan, I will not be here today. So we do have a few people missing. However, who was first on today's live chat? I wonder. Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, very interesting. Hello, Olga. Congratulations to you from myself and also the Queen of England. Well done. You did a very good job of that. Well done, Olga. You are first on today's live chat. Well done. Well done. You did a very, very good job of that, I have to say. Talking of old queens, we have Mr. Steve coming up at around about 2:30 today with some fun and maybe some nonsense as well, talking about all sorts of things. I'm sure Mr. Steve will want to mention, I think he will mention the Jubilee. I have a feeling he is going to mention it. So we are doing a little bit of that today. I hope it doesn't put you off, but it's never going to happen again. This is the only time ever that we will be able to celebrate the Platinum Jubilee. It's amazing. I remember way back in, I think it was 1977, when we had the Silver Jubilee, when the Queen was celebrating, I think it was 25 years on the throne. And I remember that because we had lots of parties, lots of street parties, including where I used to live. So my family and many of my neighbours, we all had a big meal outside in the street, especially for the Queen's Silver Jubilee, which was in 1977. And today, a lot of people having an exciting time as they are celebrating with a pageant. Pageant. I love that word, pageant. A celebration where people come together. Quite often there will be attractions, things to look at, things to watch. A pageant is normally a type of march where lots of people will march along the streets, and it is often done as a celebration for something special. So there is a big pageant taking place in London. Mr. Steve at the moment is sitting in front of the television watching it. I'm not. I am watching you. Congratulations once again, Olga. We also have Paolo here today. Hello, Paolo. Nice to see you here as well. Lovely, lovely. Also we have Marwa. Marwa. Welcome to you, Marwa. Hello, Marwa. Also we have Mary Alba or Mary Alba. Hello to you. Also Yusuf is here as well. Zudzika is also here. Also we have Vitas. Hello, Vitas. Not today. Today was not your day for having a fast finger. Maybe you were distracted. Maybe you were distracted by the television. Perhaps you are watching all the wonderful excitement that's happening at the moment in London. It is exciting, I think so. Hello also to Sandra Gonzalez. Mulud is here as well. Samanth Sidhu is also here. Hello to all of you today. I suppose I should mention the fact that I am with you not only on Sunday but also Wednesday. So you can catch me here on YouTube twice a week, Sunday and Wednesday. Eugene is here. Also we have Marcia. Hello, Marcia. Nice to see you here as well. AKA Jamaz is here. Hello to you as well. Nice to see you here. Also we have Saturino. Hello, Saturino. Nice to see you back. I know that sometimes it is not easy for you to join the live chat, but it's nice to see you here. We also have Koan Nguyen, who I believe is watching in Vietnam. Thank you very much for joining us on this special Sunday, because the Queen of England is getting very excited, and it's not very often that she gets excited these days. But she has a lot to be excited about at the moment. Hello, Claudia. Oh, hello, Claudia. Thank you for joining us very quickly. Hello, Mr. Duncan. I have a guest at my house. I will not be with you. If you are interested, I will have fish with broccoli today in the pot. Oh, so now we know what is cooking, Claudia. Thank you very much for letting us know about that. Christina is here. Willianne is also here, joining in today. Beyond awake. I wish I was. I wish I was feeling beyond awake today. I am feeling a little bit sleepy. Hello, Fatih. Why 70? Why is it special? Well, the Queen of England, this lady here, hello, hello, hello. She's not very tall. You may have heard this. The Queen is not very tall. So there she is. That is how tall the Queen of England actually is in real life. She's very small. She's very tiny. In fact, sometimes her servants carry her around Buckingham Palace in a little tiny bag strapped to their back. So the Queen of England is celebrating 70 years as the Queen of England. It's as simple as that, I suppose, really, when you think about it. Vittoria, hello Vittoria, 100 DOB. I have some lovely photographs to show you. I've received some pictures. Would you like to have a look at some photographs that I've been sent? Thank you very much to Marwa, who I just said hello to. Hello Marwa. Thank you very much for your lovely photograph that you sent of your twin daughters. Twins. I have a question. Do you ever get confused over which one is which? Especially in the photograph, because I notice in the photograph they are both wearing the same clothes. Do you ever get confused? Do you ever mix up your twins? I think it must happen. I would imagine if I had a twin, if I had someone who looked like me, I would often play tricks on other people. I would. Definitely. Thank you, Marwa, for your photograph. Also, we have one from Nguyen T. Dien. Hello to you as well. Thank you very much for your lovely photograph of you standing, looking out into the distance, looking over the sea, and also in the distance you have the horizon as well. Isn't that a lovely photograph? And I like everything about that photograph. The scenery, even the clothing that you're wearing. It looks really, really nice. Dreamy. It looks like a place where you can escape to and have a very nice time. I think so. Thank you very much, Marwa, and also Nguyen T. Dien, for your nice photographs. I always like hearing from you and seeing things that you've sent to me. If you want to send something or if you want to say hello to me, you can. Here is my email address. It is on the screen right now. If you want to send a message, if you want to say hello, if you want to send a photograph, you can send anything you want, really, within reason. Maybe you are celebrating the Queen's Jubilee today. Maybe you are sitting in front of your computer or maybe your television and you are watching the Queen of England do her thing. Well, almost. It is strange that we've been celebrating the Queen, but for most of the time she has not been at the celebrations because she is elderly. She's getting on a little bit. She is getting on slightly. She's becoming older, as we all are. I have days sometimes where I feel as if I am 96, to be honest. Although the problem with me is I don't have any servants. I do have Mr. Steve, of course, Steve sometimes. I like to pretend that Steve is my butler. I like to think that Mr. Steve is my servant sometimes, and it always makes me rather happy to be honest. So Mr. Steve will be coming very soon, and we will be saying hello to a few more people on the live chat as well. The weather today is wet, so I couldn't resist showing some of the scenery, some of the wet scenery with Mr. Steve and also myself dancing in the puddle. English Addict live on a special day. It is the Queen's Jubilee, 70 years. Also this year, there is another celebration taking place. Well, there's two personal celebrations. There is my 16th year on YouTube. Can you believe it? 16 years I will be celebrating my anniversary on the 31st of October. But also, very soon we are going to hit 1 million subscribers. So I am watching my subscriber count very closely as we slowly approach the magic 1 million subscriber point. I can't wait, to be honest. Hello to the live chat. Hello to everyone. Hello, Marcia. Hello also, Beatrice. Thank you, Beatrice, for joining us today as well. We have been out and about over the past couple of days, Mr. Steve and myself, because we've been enjoying some of the sights and also some of the sounds of the countryside. We've had a lovely time. In fact, we took some video of Mr. Steve taking a walk, but it would appear that Steve was feeling a little bit tired at this point. We did do some very long walks, and as you can see in this video you're about to watch, you can see that Mr. Steve is feeling a little worn out. Poor Mr. Steve. Don't worry, Mr. Steve. You can have a little rest. Just lie down and have a sleep. Don't worry about it. There is something else coming in a few moments. Another video of us out walking over the weekend. And we had some lovely weather, even though the weather today is really horrible. We are having some terrible weather at the moment. But we've had some nice weather over the past couple of days, and Mr. Steve and myself, we decided to go out for a lovely walk, and I couldn't resist doing a little bit of filming. So here is something really nice to watch, and also we have the cows coming up in a few moments as well. Then after that, yes, he is back. Mr. Steve will be with us, helping us all to celebrate everything, including life. hope you enjoyed that. Some nice scenery from the garden and also on the walks that we've had over the past couple of days. This is English Addict, and yes, here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Welcome to our royal event with myself and also my lovely son and heir to the throne, Prince Charles.
Hello, thank you, Mother. Thank you very much. It's so nice to be here, isn't it?
It's not really them, it's us.
It's us.
It's only us.
Yes, although my eyes are quite close together, like
Okay.
Prince Charles's.
Okay.
In fact, I have been mistaken for royalty. Hello.
Well, we are talking about the Queen, of course, because she is 96. Talking of old queens, we also have Mr. Steve here as well.
Thanks for that, Mr. Duncan.
I suppose I should give you a special welcome. I'm going to give you a special Boris Johnson welcome today.
Yes, that was quite funny.
That was funny, wasn't it? Did anyone see Boris Johnson when he arrived at St Paul's to attend the special commemoration service for the Queen? And everyone started making booing noises. They were not happy, to be honest.
No, he got. Let's be generous and call it a mixed reception.
Oh, okay.
In other words, some people were cheering, other people were booing. I think the boos outweighed the cheering, but of course nobody else got any boos, only him.
No, I think I'm not sure. This is not official, but I think Prince Harry and Meghan also got a few boos as well.
Did they? Oh, I didn't hear that. I
so
thought they
one or-
certainly got cheers, but
one
I
or
didn't know
two.
they got boos as well.
So we have the Queen with us today. She's our special guest. This is how tall she is, and also Prince Charles. Mr. Steve does the worst impression of Prince Charles. Prince Charles it's sort of like this. Hello. One is very pleased to be here today. That's how Prince Charles speaks.
Very cultured, as are all the royal family, but apparently also very down to earth and lovely when they meet people, because we've been watching the television today, people who have met royalty in the past and over the last few days, and they're just amazed at how down to earth they are when you come to speak to them. They know who they are, and they've been quite humbled by that. I think they're not standoffish, they're not snooty and unapproachable.
Really?
The royal family. No, according to what people have been saying today.
According to other millionaires who've all just been given awards, they're all saying really nice things. They're not going to say otherwise, are they, really, when you think about it? So we're busy today on the live chat. Anything to report, Mr. Steve?
Let's have a look here. Yes, well, Christina says she's watching the pageant on YouTube, or at least has been watching events of the Jubilee on YouTube, and she's watching it right now whilst watching us at the same time.
So you've got 3 old queens to watch.
That's right, which of course we're quite accepting of the fact that people come and watch us and they're performing other tasks at the same time.
Yes.
Cooking, which, by the way, Claudia is cooking fish with broccoli today. She's not on because she's got a guest at the house. Maybe somebody, maybe royalty.
Maybe royalty.
Visiting.
Do they have the royal family in Argentina?
Don't know, actually.
Well, whoever it is, Claudia, I'm sure they are very special. We also don't have Luis Mendez today. He's not here either.
Is he in the pageant?
He's not in the pageant.
Thought he might be in the pageant.
He is also entertaining some important guests. Ooh.
Again, yes, I know. We'll find out about that maybe as the week goes on, and we can report it next week.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, Akka, hello, Akka asks, what is the meaning? I heard you talking about the meaning of pageant. But Akka asks, what is the meaning of a jubilee, or what is a jubilee?
The word Jubilee refers to a celebration at a point of time where something is commemorated. So quite often after 10 years or maybe 20 years or maybe 25 years and then 50 years and then of course is we are watching this weekend 70 years. So the Jubilee is a special point in time where things are celebrated, normally historical, something that has happened in the past and is being celebrated in a joyous and happy way.
Jubilate.
Yes.
Jubilation.
Yes.
Yes, a celebration. So those words are obviously connected.
Yep.
So thank you for asking that question, Aka. Marcia, and Palmyra, hello to both of you, both ask the same sort of question. You know, Elton John was there, but he wasn't live.
He did a video.
He did a video, and
how lazy.
Well, we were questioning as well. I think a lot of the artists last night were actually miming. I don't think they were all performing live.
They weren't, including Diana Ross.
There was some very suspicious sort of. Well, at one point she was trying to talk, and then the singing came in as she was talking. It was a bit suspicious.
Yeah. Well, this is how talented. This is how talented Diana Ross is. She can actually talk and sing at the same time.
Well, that's it. That's why she's been around since the 60s,
that's it.
If not earlier. I suppose we have to make allowances for certain people, but I mean, she is. How old is Diana Ross?
I think she's 78 or
78.
78 or 79. But I don't think there is any excuse. If you are performing, certainly as the headliner, if you are the top person at the performance, I would expect you to actually be singing live and not just opening and closing your mouth.
Yes, I think it was partly live and partly, recorded. I got the impression that some of it she was singing and some of it she wasn't. But anyway, yes, we were quite surprised, weren't we, at the people who weren't performing last night.
Yeah. Well. First of all, I didn't know any of the performers. Most of the performers at last night's Jubilee concert, we both sat watching and we had no idea who they are.
We know why that is, Mr. Duncan, because we have a lost touch with what young people like to watch and what is popular at the moment. You see, that's what happens as you get older.
I can't imagine anyone in the royal family enjoying most of what they listened to last night. It was awful. Even my favourite must have been the kids.
That was hilarious.
Did anyone see the prince? The little prince.
George, is it?
Prince George. He looked so bored.
He did have a certain expression which Palmyra describes as heroic.
I'm not sure if heroic.
Palmyra said the royal children were heroic.
Yes.
To last through what was a very long concert.
Can you believe the BBC were actually blamed for showing the royal children looking bored? I don't know how can the BBC be blamed for that?
Though my mother didn't see any of that. I said, we were laughing at the princes. Of course, certain generations won't have anything said against the royal family. And of course, I mean, I'm very much a supporter of the royal family myself. But it was interesting when I spoke to my mother. I said, didn't George, and I don't know who's the other, the prince?
Is it
princess?
Louis?
I don't know.
Princess?
Or is it two? I can't remember now. Where they looked a bit bored, and my mother said, they were waving their flags. No.
What made me laugh then, Steve, was you just said you are a royalist and you can't even name the royal children.
Well, that doesn't, just because you can't name the children doesn't mean that, Anyway, I said supporter. Yes, I'm not against.
Okay, well, we're not talking about that today.
I know we're not, but yes, I know. All I know is it was George, wasn't it? He's the one who looked a bit bored.
He's the one that looked bored all the time. Whatever was happening, even when the aeroplanes came over,
he didn't like that.
He looked a little bit bored and also shocked. And then the Queen went inside. She disappeared into the palace and was never seen again until the next night when she had to press the big button to turn on that awful Christmas tree. Did anyone see that?
I thought that looked...
It was dreadful. It looked like something that some children had put together.
It's what it represents, though.
What did it represent?
Well, it represents all the indigenous trees in the UK, and each one of those was a tree, and they're going to be taken down and planted in different parts of the country. Because, of course, this is what we do in Jubilee years, is that we, in the UK, we plant trees everywhere.
I think everybody does that.
And we what do you mean everybody?
Well, everyone plants trees.
I know, but that's a tradition of a Jubilee, that we plant lots of trees, is what I'm saying, in the UK. And we bury boxes with things in that we can dig up 25 years later and see what was in there.
Like Prince Philip.
Well, I don't think... anyway. Yeah, so that's what that represents. The tradition of planting trees on Jubilee years.
There were some really, really bad moments. Now, a lot of people were getting excited because Queen, the pop group, not Queen the Queen, but Queen the pop group were playing. But I have to say, can I just say something? I always miss Freddie. I'm sorry, Queen without Freddie is not Queen. Whoever it is, I don't like the new guy. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't think anyone should try to stand in for Freddie. There's only one Freddie, and sadly Freddie is not here.
Well, where was Shirley Bassey? Where was Tom Jones?
Yeah, where was Tom Jones?
Nobody from Wales was there performing, as far as I know.
There was no Shirley Bassey.
And there was no Cliff Richard. Or is it Cliff Richards or Cliff Richard?
It's Cliff Richard.
Oh, without an S.
That's it. But he's taking part today in the pageant. Apparently, he's sitting on the bus.
That's right. So he's probably feeling a little miffed. Miffed. If you're miffed, you're a little annoyed that you weren't part of that. Mind you, they were part of the last one, the 60th one.
Yes.
Weren't they? Which was the last Jubilee.
That was quite notorious for various reasons, because one or two of the performers ended up in prison about a year later.
That is true.
For various charges.
Mention that.
Oh, talking of which, of course, we have another member of the royal family who wasn't present. He wasn't there. Prince Andrew, conveniently, he caught COVID. It would appear to be the excuse now. If you can't attend a certain celebration or a party, just say you've got COVID.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
If I don't want to go to rehearsals, I say, I can't come. Sorry, I've got COVID.
I've got COVID. It's COVID.
It's a brilliant way of getting out of things. Work. There was something I read about recently about the number of people who are getting out of going to work by claiming that they've got COVID.
Yeah. How many times?
In fact, they haven't.
How many times can you catch it though?
Well, you know,
if you're having COVID about once every 6 weeks, then they might become a little bit suspicious.
Yeah. So yes, we're all in
okay.
Mood of celebration, aren't we? We're all feeling very patriotic.
Some of us
this weekend, and sort of, you know, it's nice to feel proud of your country just now and then. By the way, there is a royal family in Argentina.
Oh, okay, good.
According to I just saw somebody post something on there. I think it was Angel, saying that there is a royal family in Argentina. So yes,
okay, good.
It's and they are present in different countries, but they're very sort of, you don't really hear about them, do you?
No,
so much. Obviously, there isn't one in France.
Clearly. Well, it's funny you should mention that, Steve, because today is the special anniversary. You probably don't know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Today is a special anniversary. On this day in 1832, anti-monarchists in Paris launched an uprising to topple the French king, the so-called June Rebellion, which is quickly put down. By that, it means the rebellion was crushed by the French. And apparently that particular rebellion inspired Victor Hugo to write Les Miserables. So that is a celebration. Well, I'm not sure who's celebrating it, but maybe in France some people are commemorating it. But yeah, that's it. So that's what on this day, 1830. But isn't that strange? 1832 that happened.
That is quite a coincidence. The Miserables.
Yes.
Yes, I've never fancied going to a musical with the title The Miserables.
Yes.
But I haven't actually seen it. People do rave about that musical. I don't think it's not cheerful, is it?
No.
It's not an upbeat.
I think in the sense of Les Miserables, I think it's actually the downtrodden.
Yes.
So I think it's referring to those who are downtrodden by the aristocracy.
Thankfully, we do not feel downtrodden by our aristocracy.
No, unless of course you live in one of the other parts of the world where we invaded you and we took you over and we put some people into slavery. But besides that, it's pretty good.
Everyone was doing it.
What?
In those days, hundreds of years ago, if you were invading another country, that everybody did it.
Nobody did it like us.
Anyway, Mr. Duncan, we don't want to start talking about that.
No, it's pretty good. No, it's part of it. I don't think you can talk about the monarchy without talking about the Commonwealth, parts of the world that we settled in, and at one point we ruled quite a huge part of the world. Isn't it amazing? And a lot of people could not wait to get rid of us, to kick us out, including the United States. Even they couldn't stand us, Steve.
I don't think we can blame the Queen for that.
Well, I'm not blaming the Queen for that. I'm blaming the monarchy for that. There's a big difference.
Christina says, I have to be honest, the Platinum Jubilee was stunning and well organised spectacle. Yes, I think it was. 700 drones created some lovely sights above Buckingham Palace last night during the concert.
Including the Royal Corgi with a bone.
Yes.
The Queen's handbag. And also, I think, what else was there? There was a cup of tea being poured as well. But that was all done with drones. However, I have to say, they stole the idea from the Chinese. The Chinese did that first, unfortunately, when they had the opening ceremony of the Olympics last year. They had the big drones going over and it was creating all these lovely pictures in the sky. So I believe it was the Chinese who did that first. But it was still impressive, still amazing, still wonderful. Please don't complain. Don't come round and push a custard pie into my face. Please.
So what are we doing today then, Mr. Duncan?
Well, basically what we have been doing. But can I just say there is something special happening this weekend as well here in Much Wenlock. And it's not connected to the Jubilee. There is a special festival taking place. It takes place, in fact, every year. So the Much Wenlock Festival has kicked off this weekend. And there are lots of performances. So this is all about art and performance. Something that I think Steve might be interested in. And we have celebrations of all sorts of different types of art and expression, including music, acting. And there is even an appearance that is happening right now by that well-known hostage, Terry Waite. Terry Waite at the moment is sitting on Much Wenlock Green talking about his life and also the time he was taken hostage. There he is, look, at 2:30. We also have songs of praise from the Salvation Army. There's a bit of Hamlet on the 7th, Mr. Steve. Hamlet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bit of acting. So maybe we can go along and watch that. Anything else that catches your eye?
Well, they had a proms concert last night, which we saw and heard some of the rehearsals for when we went in for our cup of coffee in the local tea shop.
Mm-hmm.
And we could hear them practicing Land of Hope and Glory and various other bits of music that they usually play on the last night of the proms.
They played God Save the Queen about 50 times.
They did seem to be over-practicing. We were thinking of going to it, but it would have been a bit of a rush. Plus, I'm always slightly disappointed when I go to see local orchestras and performers because I'm always a bit... I'm not being snooty.
No.
I'm not being snooty.
They're not as good as you.
When you've seen, good orchestras perform, I suppose you ought to go along and support them. But I'm always a bit disappointed when I go and see sort of... It's like I like being in amateur dramatic. You see, I'm part of the Amdram scene. I perform in it, but I hate going to watch it because I always think, God, this is awful. And yet I'm in them, so I'm wondering what people are thinking about me performing in them. But I don't like going to see them because I end up laughing in all the wrong places. And yet I'm in it and part of it. So I'd rather just not watch it and just be in it. And then I can't see how bad it really is.
That's it.
Anyway, I thought that sounded quite good.
I suppose that's one way of looking at it.
Yes.
I suppose. We're going to take a quick break because I need to drink some water. And then we will be back right after this. Enjoy the lovely cattle. It is English Addict, and there we saw the cows, the lovely cows at the back of the house. We are back. Mr. Steve?
Yeah, I'm calling this my pageant tie because unlike you've got a Union Jack tie.
I'm flying the flag.
I haven't got one of those. I hadn't got anything in red, white and blue, so I thought I'd wear this, which looked sort of a bit pageanty.
It looks like going to a celebration.
Exactly. And I thought I'd wear black as you were wearing white. Do you always wear this tie every week? I can't remember.
I have my purple tie normally.
That's right, you do, yes.
My purple one. But today I thought I would become a little bit patriotic. A lot of people are patriotic. I suppose in this country we always seem to go all the way with our celebrations. Lots of people were walking around the streets of London dressed in clothing. Some of them were dressed like the Queen, and some of them were dressed like queens as well, because of course it's Pride Month as well.
That's correct.
Pride Month, everyone. Everyone is into the gays this month, just for June, and the next month they couldn't care less. But this month it's Pride Month, and a lot of people are celebrating that as well. So I suppose you could say that June is a busy month.
Saturino asks, at the Much Wenlock Festival, do they have traditional countryside games and competitions? No, they don't.
But we do have the Olympic Games.
Yes.
The local Olympic Games here in Much Wenlock, which was the inspiration for the modern Olympic Games. So that is the one thing that Much Wenlock, the place we live in, is famous for, being the inspiration for the modern Olympic Games.
Christina says something like a sack race. Yeah, they might do that in the school. And sometimes they have them at parents' evenings. But no, the Much Wenlock Festival really is about music and art, isn't it, really? Music and art. It's a bit more highbrow,
performance.
you could say. performances. You have to pay to go to them. Most of them are in the evening, and you have to pay to go. And it's sort of, yeah, as Mr. Duncan showed there, people giving talks, famous people giving talks about their lives, choirs, local performers, artists, that sort of thing. And like last night, there was a local orchestra playing, a Bridgnorth Symphonia, I think they're called, if anyone wants to look that up. Were playing last night. So there are sort of local orchestral groups. And Bridgnorth, which isn't too far from here, is quite famous for its sort of art and music. And somebody once said to me years ago, if you want to join a very good quality sort of musical society, join the one in Bridgnorth. It's supposed to be one of the best ones in the area.
It's also a very beautiful place to visit because they have two towns. They have two towns. They have the Low Town and the High Town. And you go up to the High Town in this little railway that goes up the side of the hill to the High Town of Bridgnorth. A very nice place, in fact.
Palmyra said that they have Clypeda. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. A big folk festival. Folk bands from all over Europe will be going. We have something not too far from here, don't we? In Telford, every year there's one of these sort of open air events. What do they call them? Where there's bands playing and people all stay overnight in tents and sleep in tents and take lots of drugs.
Like a festival.
Yes, a festival. That's the word I was looking for. I can't remember what it's called, the one they have here locally.
Right.
They have them all over the country, these sort of festivals where you sort of stay for 2 or 3 nights, don't wash, take a tent. It's always going to be raining and muddy. And then you get to listen to what could be quite famous bands coming to play. The famous one, of course, is at Stonehenge. Every year they have one of those. But that's a festival, not a pageant.
Is it Stonehenge they have it?
I think it's near there, isn't it? It's not far from there. Where do you think it is then?
I'm not going to say, but they have a big festival in a farm, don't they?
That's right.
A big farm
I thought it was
field.
near Stonehenge,
Yes.
though.
Glastonbury, you see.
That's it.
Glastonbury.
Isn't that near Stonehenge?
I think it is nearby. It is the same sort of area.
Sounds like sort of King Arthur's sort of territory.
There's lots of mounds, lots of ancient mounds where people were buried. So here we go. We're looking at a few things today, Steve. We are looking at stereotypes of the British person.
Right.
Because we are talking about Britain today. It's a celebration for the Queen. Yesterday, Mr. Steve was busy cooking a lovely meal. We had chili con carne yesterday. However, last week, Steve also made something else in one of the most amazing things that exists, our lovely slow cooker. And there it is. So that's what we had last week. Is this lentil dal?
It looks like vomit. But yes, it is lentil dal. Yes, I'm using red lentils. And I've put a load of vegetables in with it. A vegetable stock cube, some carrots in there, as you can see, some celery. I think I put a pepper in there as well, and some curry powder, and some ginger and some garlic. And yes, the magical slow cooker, bung everything in,
Just
bung it in.
Throw it all in
throw
there.
it in or bung it in, and leave it for a few hours, come back and you've got a lovely meal.
It's amazing.
And
So we love this now, don't we?
yes, and there's enough in there for 2 days. And if you're feeling a bit blocked up, bit of constipation, if you're a bit backed up,
Okay.
have some of my lentil dal, and within 24 hours, I can guarantee you will
Yes.
you will have had a good clear
Good.
out.
I can't get the image of vomit out of my head now. You should not have said that, Steve.
And what we have it with is rice, and I usually have cook some sweet potatoes with it as well.
Angela says in Holland we also have the West fancy clothes and accessories on King's Day.
Oh.
Everything is in red, white and blue and orange. Orange because of the former King of Holland, William van Orange, or William of Orange, a very well-known,
Very famous.
historic figure.
That's right. Maybe you could maybe give us a little summary of why he was so famous, William of Orange. Because,
Well, he was the King of
he is
Holland.
Very well. Yes,
He-
I know that. But
He was the ruler.
He's
and-
particularly famous.
No one messed around with William of Orange. He would come at you with his big sword.
Christina, yes, royal family is a major tourist attraction. And you associate that particularly with the UK. This is often the argument that people make. Yes, the Queen does use up a certain amount of taxpayers' money, but the people that would argue against that would say that's more than made up for in the revenue that's brought into the country by things like tourism.
Yes.
That attracts people here. I don't know whether that is the case, but don't know the figures. But certainly people do come here specifically to go and look around. You can visit Buckingham Palace, can't you? Certain parts of it are open to the public, I believe.
At certain
Well, they
times.
certainly were.
But the most popular, well, one of the most popular cities, of course, is Paris. And Paris doesn't have a monarchy. Quite the opposite, in fact. And also, what about the United States? A republic. They don't have any royalty. So maybe that argument works to a certain degree. But I think there are some people who just don't like the idea of having a ruler or one person in charge. Although, in fairness, Steve, it is ceremonial. Most of the Queen's duties are ceremonial. So she can't send anyone to the Tower of London or have their heads chopped off. So she can't do any of that now. In the past, other kings of England used to love doing that. It was their thing. They became quite well known for it.
Well, maybe she can have a quiet word with people in the background. You know, people she doesn't like. Maybe a bit of that goes on. But of course, she lives. She is now living in. Where's she living? She's not living in Buckingham Palace anymore, is she? She's living in Windsor Castle.
She's in Windsor. It's where she was last night, as far away as possible from all the noise of the singers. Singers, I use that term very loosely.
It was just a bit of fun, wasn't it? Just a bit, something to forget about all the woes.
You were shouting at the television. Saying,
Well, I liked it at first.
Who are these people? I don't know who they are.
At first, I thought, okay, yes, this is all right. And then it sort of went downhill. Then I went upstairs to do something else. And I came back again and it hadn't got much better. But then I think that just shows that we're a bit over the hill, a bit old,
Well, Diana Ross was singing. Well, she was miming, not really singing. And I love the fact that she didn't really move either. She just stood there in the middle of the stage like a giant blancmange. So,
yes, it was. I mean, they didn't. Yes, she was trying to get up and down the steps and looked very uncomfortable.
My point is, I'm not against Diana Ross. Before anyone says, "Oh, Mr. Duncan, you're against Diana Ross. Oh, she's an icon." I'm not saying that, but I'm sure there must have been many British people that you could have had to close the ceremony. Maybe Queen could have come back to do an amazing rendition of "God Save the Queen." Brian May could be twanging his guitar in the only way he knows how. So, but I just thought it was a bit odd. It was a bit strange. It all fell flat.
I think. Well, that's our impression. But I think
it's a lot of people's impression.
I think she's very well. You can't really, if you're just going to go on Twitter and get...
Nobody seemed to enjoy the celebrations last night. A lot of people asking why did they choose Diana Ross when she's American and also nearly 80. There must have been somebody else they could have closed with. Maybe Adele.
Somebody who had a bit of a... Yeah.
Adele.
I know a lot of these performers are, what we would say over the hill.
What about One Direction? They could have One Direction reforming and doing a performance. Apparently they had Jason Donovan on last night as well. That's how desperate they were.
I mean, I think she's popular with the royals, isn't she? I think that.
Is she?
Apparently Diana Ross is.
I thought Prince
quite
Charles
popular
liked the
with
3 degrees.
Apparently Diana Ross is quite popular with the royal family, so
Okay.
that's probably got something to do with why she was chosen. I would have preferred Shirley Bassey, but
It is a mystery. It is a mystery.
yes, I'm sure they did a better job than we could have done.
Well,
and
I
certainly
can
all
mime to a song.
and certainly all the what would you call the light show and everything was pretty fantastic, and
Yes.
the production of it was
Yeah.
excellent. There
And of-
weren't any
and of course a lot
sort
of
production issues.
A lot of people were talking about the little bit with Paddington Bear as well. Paddington Bear and the Queen. And did you see it? And I've got a little still from it. I can't show too much of it because I will be flagged for copyright, because you know that's what everyone likes to do. So there it is on the screen now. So there is the Queen, and there is Paddington Bear. And a lot of people were quite impressed with the special effects, the lovely way in which they made the animal look real.
It was. It was quite surprising, and it's quite delightful.
Yeah,
I thought
CGI,
Yes.
you see. Although I also have a feeling that the Queen was CGI as well, because there is no way that the Queen was doing all of that.
I'm not sure. Let's not question it, Mr.
I
Duncan.
think. No, I'm not questioning it. You are allowed to do these things. One of the things about living in a free country is you can say these things. You can walk down the road with a sign that says, "The Queen of England smells," and no one can stop you. See, that's the beautiful thing. So if we don't like something, we can say it. You see, I won't be locked up, as far as I know anyway.
You certainly won't be getting an OBE either.
I don't want one. I don't want an honour. I think it's the biggest sellout ever.
Oh, Mr. Duncan. Anyway, don't you want one for your services to teaching English?
No, I don't want. I don't want an OBE. I don't want an MBE. I don't want any of those things. A little play button from YouTube would be nice for my millionth subscriber when I reach it.
Angela says yes. Angela van der Zanden. I love that name. Shirley Bassey used to be my favourite singer. Yes. Well, we expected at least Shirley Bassey or Tom Jones to be there, but neither of them were there.
No.
They could have done a duet.
Yes. Instead, they had Rod Stewart, who was just screaming at the top of his voice.
Yeah, somebody said, was he actually singing in the right key? And then somebody else commented that it was a different version of the song.
I think it was a different universe.
I didn't actually see that particular performance.
It wasn't very good, although most of it wasn't very good. The only bit I liked was the rendition of Nessun Dorma by Andrea Bocelli.
Did you watch that then?
He's brilliant. Yes, he's amazing.
And a close friend of Nile Rodgers, apparently.
Okay.
As I discovered today, listening to an interview with Nile Rodgers, who was also there, seems to know everyone.
Yeah. Well, Nile Rodgers is a guy who created the disco sound of the late 1970s. He was one of those who made a certain type of music popular. And of course, he was big in the 70s with his group, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yes, he was. Yes, that iconic sound.
Yes. Chic, by the way. Chic was who he played with. And of course, he's done lots of other things as well. And that's the reason why he was on with Duran Duran last night, because he did produce some of their later music. Ooh, Mr. Duncan, you are so knowledgeable.
Luca Arietti says, hello, Mr. Duncan and Mr. Steve. Finally, I've got to see you live.
We are live.
We are very live, yes. And there's Mr. Duncan we're all very festive. There we are at the top of the Mall, looking down on live on Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
And we've got our own float.
Yeah.
And we will be part of the pageant later on. I think we're near towards the back, aren't we?
That's it.
So as soon as we finish this live stream today, we'll be straight off onto our float.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll be going straight down the Mall.
The
to wave to the Queen.
The Queen is here as well. There she is. She's not very tall.
She's expecting to make another appearance on the famous balcony.
Really?
Later on, yes.
Did you know that balcony was added on later? Did you know that? The front of Buckingham Palace did not have the balcony. It was added later when the royal family decided that now and again they could come out at the front and wave to all the peasants. And that's the reason why it was put there.
What a good idea.
And there is the Queen. Hello, I'm the Queen of England, and I've been on the throne for 70 years. When I say on the throne, I don't mean on the toilet. Because on the throne can also mean on the toilet.
Angela, not Angela. He doesn't want me to pronounce it in the German way.
I know. I don't know why you did.
Well, because often it is pronounced that way. So apologies, Angela. You don't want to be called Angela, as like Angela Merkel.
But he will keep repeating it and saying it again and again. Oh, I thought you were going to do a Prince Charles then.
No.
Hello. I will do it instead. Hello. This is Prince Charles here. I hope you're enjoying today's live stream. It is very, very good. And please, tomorrow when you go out for a walk, can you please hug a tree just for me? Thank you.
Yes, Lucas says the Queen will soon be 100 and we'll have another celebration. Yes, we look forward to that. My highlight was the
Fingers crossed.
Pardon?
I said fingers crossed.
Well, yes, exactly. Long may she reign and all that. Not R-A-I-N. We're talking about the other type of rain.
Which is?
Well, you're the English teacher.
You opened the door.
Well, no, I didn't.
R-E-I-G.
Correct.
N.
Correct. Mr.
Reign.
Duncan.
Reign. To rule over a land.
Thank you, jury.
To rule over a land is to reign. You reign. Not rain fall, but reign over. You reign over the land, the people, the peasants like us.
So what are we talking about, Mr. Duncan?
Well, we're talking about what we're talking about now, which is the British people, the royal family, the royal wave. Would you like to see the Queen? The Queen is now going to wave her hand. Here we go. This is the Queen waving her hand. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. Hello.
That doesn't look like a very feminine hand.
Please give me money. I like money. Please give me money.
That's not very nice, Mr. Duncan. And anyway, the Queen would be wearing a glove.
Really?
You wouldn't see
What,
her bare
a leather glove.
No, a nice white cotton glove.
Yes.
Or maybe it's made of leather, I don't know.
Yes.
Yes, what is the name of the Queen? The surname of the Queen? Yes, that's a very good question, Palmer.
Well, it depends. It depends if we are talking about her history or her changed name, Windsor. But it wasn't originally Windsor. I can't remember exactly what it was. What was the...
It would probably been a German name, I would think.
I'm trying to remember now, but the original name of the royal family was not Windsor. It was changed so it would sound more British, but it wasn't. It was originally German, you see. They come from German stock, as they say.
And of course, all these kings and queens used to marry each other in different countries around Europe.
Yes.
It was very common hundreds of years ago, marrying somebody else's cousin or niece or
And quite often when there were children as well. Did you know that? A lot of royal marriages were agreed to where the people involved were still children.
Yes, they were arranged marriages, in effect, which, we often criticise that today, but it still goes on in many cultures and certainly within the royal family, but not so much now, I don't think. Certainly not in our royal family, but maybe in other parts of the world. Benedetto asks, have you seen the Queen? I have seen the Queen in real life. I saw her when I was staying down in London in a place called Hackney, which is one of the roughest, awfulest, worst places in the world to stay. But she was visiting a hospital nearby called Homerton Hospital. And I saw her come out and she waved and she got into her big glass Rolls Royce and we made eye contact. For a moment I looked and she looked at me and we made eye contact. There was a moment, a little moment. She stared at me through her bulletproof glass. It was a touching moment and one I will never forget. And I'm sure she will never forget either, especially because I was naked at the time. Next. When I was in London, it had a nice impact on me with the British people. They are kind and polite. We'll be talking about this in a moment, by the way. Unlike some people around here, who shall remain nameless.
Okay, that's good. Kind, polite. Even though I know I can't generalise, but there are good and bad people all over the world. Yes, we are talking about that in a few moments, Steve. The idea that certain nations or people that live in a certain country have a certain characteristic or things that you often associate with them. So that's what we are looking at a little bit.
Yes, you sort of typecast people. We all do it, I'm sure. I'm sure you do it. You've got an idea, a generalisation of what British people might be like. We've got that same thing for French people or Italian people or German people. We like to sort of have these characters in our mind about what people are like. Of course, that probably is true, but within that there's going to be a lot of variance. So yes, you might think that British people are all kind and polite. And I think probably that is a good generalisation, but of course within that there's a lot of flex going on. So there'll be people that very sort of rude people, and there'll be ultra polite people.
That's it.
Probably, but yes, I'd be interested to see what you've got as characteristics of British people.
Yes,
because there's one of them that
there are a few. Actually, there are quite a few.
Well, yes, and please tell us. When you think of British people, what do you think of? Especially
if you're using us. So maybe you've never seen British people before, and maybe we are the first British people that you've seen, and you're thinking, are they all as mad as these two?
We are all a bit bonkers.
We are slightly bonkers. Anyway, let's not give too much away. Vitas asks, Mr. Duncan, does the Queen have a passport? I don't think she does. I don't think the Queen does have a passport. She also never carries money. It's a well-known fact that the Queen never carries money, ever. She never. Other people pay for everything.
Nor do certain politicians.
Normally us paying for it. But I don't think the Queen does have a passport. I don't think she does.
Don't know. I wouldn't have thought so.
She doesn't need one. She's the Queen. Everyone recognises her face. She's on everything. Stamps, money, all around the world. Australia, her face is on the money. New Zealand, her face is on the money. I think certain parts of Africa as well, some African states, I think they still have the Queen on their money.
Commonwealth countries.
So the Queen of England is everywhere, her face. So no, she I don't think she does have a passport.
What's next, Mr. Duncan?
Oh, okay. Is this your new catchphrase? Mr. Steve is working on a new catchphrase. What's next, Mr. Duncan? Next, well, let's have a look, shall we? Shall we have a look at the stereotypes? The things that people think when they think of British people. And that's what we're talking about for the next few minutes. And I suppose it is a very interesting thing when we talk about stereotypes, because it can very easily become prejudice. It's very interesting. Don't you find that there is a very fine line between stereotypes of individuals or types of people and prejudice? Sometimes those two things can merge together. However, we are not talking about that. We are looking at stereotypes of the British. That's us, by the way. We are British. A lot of people ask where we're from. And we are British. I'm British, with a little bit of French, of course. I have a little bit of French in me, as it were. But Mr. Steve is 100%, 110% British.
Well, it depends on how far back you go. Of course, I don't really know. For all I know, my great-great-great-grandfather could have been Chinese. I don't know.
Yes, well, we often think your father looked a little bit Chinese, a little bit Oriental.
My father had a blood group, AB, and if you've got a B blood group, that means that it's not a normal blood group to get in the UK. So that would indicate that a bit of ancestry there is coming from other parts of the world.
So it is interesting. It is interesting if you check back on your family history or your lineage, as we call it. You never know what you're going to find. You might find out that your great-great-grandfather was an Eskimo who lived in an igloo and used to live on whale blubber and seal meat and penguin feathers. Who knows?
Yeah, so what do you think are stereotypes of British people? Please give us your thoughts on that.
So we're going to do it now.
Just words that you associate, characteristics that you might associate with, not us in particular, but British people in general.
There are plenty of words you could use to describe us. Most of them pretty rude. So here we go. Let's have a look at some of the stereotypes. When people think of British people, British subjects like us, well-mannered is the first one. I suppose so. It is interesting. It is interesting that quite often we often think of British people, especially English people. And of course, it is worth mentioning that when we talk about British, we are talking about people who live in England, Scotland, Wales, and a little part of Ireland as well, Northern Ireland. So British normally covers all of those things, all of those people. But I think also well-mannered is often used when we talk about English people. English. Like
We're
us.
not talking about football fans here.
No.
We'll leave them out of it. Because they obviously have their own reputation around the world. British football supporters that go to visit other countries have which of course might be a stereotype of British people. Maybe another stereotype is that we're all bad-mannered, and because
we like
fighting and a bit rough and
like last week, of course,
confrontational.
In Paris, it happened last week.
Yes,
there was the big football match taking place. Lots of men kicking a ball around a field, and there was a little bit of trouble before the match started with people from this country.
Well, the French police certainly acted in an appropriate manner.
The French,
although they had to apologise.
The French police do not mess around. You may have noticed they do not mess around. They do not. They get straight in there and do the job. Well-mannered. So I suppose when people come in contact with British people, they probably first of all see people in movies like Hugh Grant. So Hugh Grant is quite often seen as the typical British person, but I don't think he is really.
Thank you very much. We're getting some lovely suggestions here. Muteb says that, of course, there is this common belief that British food is bad.
Yes. It is true.
That is a stereotype. I'd definitely say that would be people just think of fish and chips and sort of fatty pies and things like that. They don't think of French haute cuisine.
Eggs, bacon, chips.
Yeah, they think of
everything is fried.
Unhealthy food when it comes to British food.
Yes. And
we don't really have, fish and chips is probably our national dish, which isn't exactly the height of cuisine.
No.
But
although having said that, let's not be too judgmental, because of course we do have our lovely roast dinner as well, with all of the vegetables, maybe a little bit of chicken, a little bit of beef, so something like that, maybe lamb chops. So quite often on Sunday people will have their traditional meal, but it is true, isn't it, Steve, that we have borrowed the ingredients and the recipes from most countries around the world, because let's face it, a lot of our food is crap.
Well, of course, we are a very multicultural society now.
Yes.
And that's wonderful in that we get to sample food from all around the world.
Yes.
I mean, Indian restaurants are just everywhere.
Indian,
and
Chinese.
What would we do without Indian restaurants and
Yes.
Chinese restaurants
Yes.
now? It would be, a roast beef, fish and chips and roast beef is what the British are commonly associated with.
Roast beef and Yorkshire puddings.
So I think, yes, definitely not having the best food in the world would be something that people would often associate with British people, which probably links in with another characteristic which could be connected to the bad food, which I'm sure you've probably got coming up, which somebody has already mentioned as well.
Okay, here's another one, Steve. We've got to move on a little bit. Patriotic. I think this is a good one, especially over the past 4 days. We've seen a lot of people waving their flags, waving anything that they've got nearby. They've been waving to the Queen. A lot of people went to London. They all went there. They stood and watched all of the performances. They waved at the Queen when she came out for 38 seconds and then went back in. She was bored. I think she was bored. She looked a bit bored, to be honest. She was thinking, oh, not again. Not again. All these people have turned up outside my house and I just want to have a rest.
We're getting some very, very amusing ones that people associate. Do you want me to read some of them out?
Yes, please.
People drink tea at 5, says Vittoria. Well, certainly drinking tea.
But normally it's 3 o'clock.
Drinking tea is definitely something that the British are associated with, although apparently coffee is now more popular than tea in the UK. But traditionally, tea in a china teacup, with your finger going up like that.
Maybe a little cake or maybe a scone.
Yes.
Scone or scone.
Tea shops, cake shops are very popular. And Vittoria also says, Marcia says, yes, punctuality.
Oh.
Never heard of this one. That
does not apply to Steve.
People talk about British punctuality. Well, I'm not sure that's... I would always think of German people as very punctual and being on time and very precise. In fact, I went to a sales conference years ago to Germany and everything was timed to the minute. We were sort of not laughing, but we were sort of quite surprised at when we had the itinerary about what we were going to do during the day. It was, normally it would be things like sort of 8:45. You'd normally have things timed to maybe 15 minutes around the hours. The hour, maybe sort of 15 minutes past the hour or 30 minutes. But a lot of the itinerary we were getting from the German company we went to visit was sort of 8:52 and 9:06.
Very precise.
It was very odd times, and it was literally two. So I wouldn't say that we are particularly punctual.
I don't think we are. I think we like to be fashionably late.
Fashionably late.
So
yes.
so our habit would actually not to be on time and to be a little bit late, because if you're going to a party or a gathering, quite often it's good to be a little late, because then everyone's arrived and you can make a grand entrance. So I think it's actually the opposite. I think we are very good at being late to places, because we always like to arrive a little late so everyone will see us when we walk through the door.
Reasonably, because we would tend to associate certain countries with being more sort of flexible with their times, certainly than us. But yeah, well, we're reasonably punctual, but not. Yeah, I think we are reasonably punctual.
Have you ever caught a train?
Not,
if you've caught a train in this country, you will know that trains are never, ever on time.
They're never on time.
They're always late.
They're always late.
Or cancelled.
Yeah. So yes, yeah. Whereas if you go to certain other parts of Europe, they're always very much on time. Or
I tell you
Japan or something like that.
Japanese. If you want to see punctuality, go to Japan. Everything, the trains, they actually have a guy who stands on the platform, and for every minute that train is late, the driver of the train has money taken out of his salary.
Harsh.
That's incredible. So if the people who are controlling the trains and making sure they are on time in Japan, if they are late, they all have money taken from them.
What happens if they're early?
Well,
Same thing.
They
have money added.
I suppose punctuality means arriving at the right time. So maybe early is just as bad. Just as bad.
There we go. Vittoria says, don't show their emotions and have protruding teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't show their emotions. Yeah, well, we are renowned for our stiff upper lips. Don't show emotion. Keep everything inside. We are known for that. But it was a bit of a shock to people who observe sort of society and culture in general when Princess Diana died.
Yeah,
because there was this massive public outpouring of grief, and at the time it was seen as being not very British. You don't show your emotions in public, you keep it all to yourself. So I think that has changed a lot. Yes, certainly when my parents grew up, and probably when I grew up, you didn't show your emotions. Children were seen and not heard.
I like that one.
Yes, children were seen and not heard was a common expression I always heard when I was growing up.
The good old days when you could give the child a belt round the ear and they would never do anything wrong again.
Anyway, yes, yeah. I think British people were associated with that, and there are lots of films, war films and things with a sort of stiff upper lip.
Okay.
And even if everything's chaos around you, you remain calm and serene throughout it. That is a popular, probably a misconception. I don't think it applies anymore.
The British spirit,
but it often
is to keep going. Whatever is happening, you carry on regardless of all of the bad stuff, all of the difficulty. You just keep going. You keep going on and on and on.
But Victoria, yes, and I'm sure Duncan's going to mention this, Mr. Duncan, I should say, about protruding teeth or bad teeth in general. British people.
See,
really associated with having bad, crooked, protruding, rotten teeth.
I blame the Americans for that, because it is them. It is the people in the United States who started that stereotype. They always portray British people, as having horrible teeth. But I don't think that's true. I think
no, but we often laugh. We often see sort of newsreels and films from years ago, and the British people have got these crooked, awful teeth.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes they have, but it is funny whenever you watch depictions, certainly by American television, on British people. If they're ever taking the mickey out of British people, they always show them with crooked, bad teeth, which always makes us laugh. And I think it's
that's it.
And of course, didn't the Queen's mother have appalling teeth. She had these sort of crooked, bad teeth.
The Queen of the Queen Mother had yellow teeth.
Yes.
A lot of people used to joke that her teeth were the same colour as the British Rail logo, which was also yellow, and they used to say that her teeth were the same colour. But I don't think that's very nice.
But I think, of course, in America, everybody has their teeth done. So, I mean, their teeth probably would be crooked and bent. But we just can't be bothered to have our teeth corrected.
They look all plastic and artificial.
But a lot of people here now, a lot of celebrities, having their teeth straightened and whitened, and it just looks comical to me.
Well, it's not even their real teeth.
They
have new teeth put in.
And then they're far too white.
Yes.
And it just looks ridiculous, but it does to me.
Anyway, I've got a list to get through.
Yes.
Here we go, another one. British people, self-deprecating.
Yes.
I think we are very good at that. So it's an interesting word as well. If you deprecate someone, it means you insult or criticise. You put that person down. And we are very good, not us. Well, maybe we do it as well. But the British people are very good at being self-deprecating. And that is to make insults about ourselves. We make fun of our own faults and idiosyncrasies. So when you have a fault or something you don't do very well, or maybe a mannerism, you will often make fun of it yourself. Self-deprecating.
You don't boast about your own achievements. That's part of it as well, isn't it? You don't. If you've achieved something, you won't sort of make a big thing of it and boast about it. You're more likely to point out something that you haven't done very well. It's like a modesty, and a sort of intense modesty. In a way.
Although I'm not sure if British people are modest. I think there is a certain arrogance as well. I wish I'd included that arrogance. So I think sometimes British can be quite arrogant, quite snobby and snooty, and have a feeling of superiority sometimes.
Oh yes. That is a feeling that British people had as a hangover from Empire days. That we're still sort of ruling the world in a way. And a lot of people do still sort of carry that feeling in their heads, particularly the older generations. But yes, here's another one. Drink too much alcohol, says Christina. And Palmyra says spend a lot of time in pubs.
Yes, we do. If there's one thing British people enjoy doing, and I think you have a very good point there, we like drinking beer, alcohol, generally. A lot of people, your friends, we won't say who, but Steve has friends who sit down every night and they can drink maybe 1 or 2 bottles of wine.
I think what the British people are associated with alcohol is that they don't just drink alcohol and stay quiet. They drink alcohol and become very loud and boisterous, like a sort of a football fan abroad. It's almost like we can't handle our alcohol.
Yes.
And that's quite a common perception, I think, whereas French people will drink their wine and they'll just stay very sociable and calm. That's what we associate French people with: sophistication, drinking wine and not going to excess with it. Whereas British people, when they drink, they don't just have 1 or 2 drinks. They have 10 pints of beer or 3 bottles of wine. It's all taken to excess. I don't know why that is, but
yes, we're not very good at holding or handling alcohol. We do get a little...
We don't know when to stop.
No. A bit like us, really. We don't know when to stop.
Yes.
Steve, another one. I think this is a good one coming up, by the way. This is a really good one.
Eccentric.
Yes, eccentric.
Well.
A person who is eccentric is a person who might have odd behaviour, strange habits, or maybe peculiar in a certain way. And I think this is true. I agree with this one.
Not conforming to social norms.
Yes. There are people in Britain, British people, English people, who believe that you should behave in a certain way. However, there are many people who go against that convention. They decide that they want to do the opposite to everything. So you might describe us. I think one of the words people often use for me is definitely eccentric. I think one of your work colleagues once said that. They said, "You're Duncan. He's quite eccentric."
Yes, it just means if you are not conforming to what people perceive as social norms, the normal way of behaving when you're in public or when you're with in groups of in social situations. It might be that you don't necessarily, you say things that might offend people, even though you don't necessarily mean to offend. You might dress in a non-conformist way. Something that lends you to look or act in a way that isn't what's perceived as normal by today's standards.
Yes. A word that people don't like using anymore, we often don't use the word normal. In fact, you don't hear it very often at all. But when we talk about British people, we often look at certain eccentricities, certain odd characteristics of that individual person. And I think that comes with the way we are. I think that is part of our heritage. I think it's part of the way we've developed over the years to almost not take ourselves too seriously. And that's something I'm going to mention later. I suppose humour is also very, very significant when we talk about British people. British humour, the type of humour, very dry, very subtle, but also quite odd and maybe crazy as well. So I think the eccentricity of the British person is something that, well, I like to embrace it, if I was honest, Steve, because I do believe that I am slightly eccentric. And I'm pretty sure everyone around here who lives near us also think the same way. I think so. And as I just mentioned, unique humoured. Our humour, I think, is quite unique, very, very unusual. It is quite dry, very subtle humour. But also I think our humour can be a little, as Steve said quite rightly, distasteful. We can sometimes say things that are offensive. But because we're British and because we're saying it in a British accent, it doesn't sound so bad.
Sense of humour, yes, that's it. We are always associate. A lot of people have said as well, they associate punctuality with British people. I never really thought of that as a British characteristic. Maybe compared with or to other countries, maybe we are. Maybe we are compared to some countries, but certainly, as somebody else has already pointed out here, that they think that German people are particularly punctual. And I would agree with that based on my own experiences as well. Of course, there's nothing wrong with being punctual.
Yes.
But yes, Beatrice says that as well. It's a very common perception. Angela says it as well, sense of humour.
Can I just point out another comment, if I just move the screen? I relate the UK with Shakespeare, Rolls-Royce, Jaguar, James Bond, and also the nice flag that you can see quite a lot of today. So I suppose so, yes.
Yeah.
So people think of things like, well, I suppose Shakespeare is always seen as
literature.
The father of modern literature. Certainly when we come to the subject of English, when we think of English, the language, the writing of English, expression, I would say that Shakespeare is up there near the top, because he really did change the way the language was used. He made English popular. And from that point of view, I mean, from speaking English, but also reading English, books started to be published more and more. People back then were generally ignorant and illiterate, and it's true. So I think Shakespeare is seen as a person who revolutionised the way people learn and also express themselves.
So look at that. Marcia says here that in Brazil, when a person is punctual, meaning they're on time for something,
Mhm.
we say British punctuality. Isn't that strange?
It is strange.
See, that's very odd for us to understand that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a hangover from sort of colonial times,
Yes.
when things probably were, when probably time was introduced in a more precise way into other countries. Maybe that's where that comes from, because I would imagine we were very punctual compared to other countries, hundreds of years ago, but now we're probably somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
So yes, it's probably a hangover from.
Yes, I
when,
really
you
don't
know.
think these days we are too worried about being punctual.
Certainly, I mean, the sad thing is, Emilio, talking about Rolls-Royce and Jaguar, they are no longer British companies.
Yes.
Rolls-Royce is, I think, owned by Volkswagen, and Jaguar is owned by Tata, which is an Indian company.
Yes.
In fact, Land Rover, I looked that up, is also Jaguar Land Rover. Was owned, Ford bought them, but then Ford sold them to Tata, which is an Indian company. I think started off in steel, I think.
Yes, I think they did steel and then moved into other areas. But it is strange, yes. So the other day when all the royal family were arriving at St Paul's, they were all driving Ford Discoveries or Bentleys or Rolls Royces.
Yes, they were Land Rovers.
Land
We
Rovers.
noticed a huge. I mean, sales for Land Rovers will no doubt increase after that.
Yeah.
That's why people buy what I would call these ridiculous 4x4s.
Anyway.
SUVs. Let's not get me down, because because the royals
Yes.
drive them.
Every week we talk about this.
The royals all drive around in Land Rovers, so
Yes.
that's why people buy them, because they think it makes them feel like they're somehow upper class.
Yes.
That's the only reason they sell, because they're anyway. Let's not go.
But
into
it's
that.
not British.
Not anymore. No.
No, it's very strange. Very interesting. Here's another one, Steve, because we are...
Arrogance has come up a lot. Cold-blooded, yes.
Yes, I think arrogance.
Unemotional.
Yes. Well, if you've noticed, Steve, over the years, I know I've said this before in the past, the best villains or the best evil person should always have a British accent. Always.
In
Because
films.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Yes.
In films.
In American films,
Any film.
the evil person is always a British.
It is.
Got a British accent.
Because it's brilliant. It is the best because that accent belies their evil character. It's very strange. I think the one I always think about is, I think, Jeremy Irons in one of the Die Hard films. I think it was the third one, and he had a very posh British accent. And also, I suppose, Alan Rickman as well. In the original Die Hard, I think he had a British accent. So if you have a British accent and you are evil and wicked, for some reason it works better, because you don't expect.
Because it's cold, unemotional. It's very easy for British people to talk, because the language itself can be very cold and unemotional. Whereas if you are Italian or French, it's impossible. There's such colourful languages. You can't imagine anyone. They're such colourful languages. It doesn't lend itself to that sort of cold, unemotional way of talking. Whereas the British accent can lend itself very, very well to that sort of cold, unemotional, almost evil, arrogant sort of way. But you can't imagine replacing Jeremy Irons with somebody, for example, from Spain or Italy, because the colourful language and the expression wouldn't be suitable for that cold-hearted killer of a character that you need in the film.
You've clearly never seen The Godfather.
I know, but again, that it's that sort of way of, you know what I'm saying.
I know
Mr.
what
Duncan,
you're
you know what
saying. I'm just being awkward, because that's another thing that the British are very good at.
Oh, he is.
Being awkward. We are. We love. Here are some ones I'm going to add to my list. Awkward, complaining, We are.
Oh, we love to complain.
We love to complain. If there's one thing the British love doing above everything else, whatever it is, complaining about things.
Oh, here we go. Victoria.
Okay, Steve.
The weather. Talking about the weather a lot.
We talk about the weather.
That's all we ever talk about. Moaning about the weather.
Although today we haven't really talked about it, even though it's been raining all day.
The reason we talk about it a lot is because the weather is very changeable in the UK. It is always changing. You know, one day it could be hot, sunny. The next day it could be rainy. And then it changes from 1 hour to the next, and that's why we talk about it a lot. It's a great talking point. But generally, we're always moaning about it. If it's raining, we moan about it, even though we want rain for the gardens and the agriculture. And the next day it's sunny. We say, oh, it's too hot. It's too hot. It's far too hot.
We just complain.
We're always moaning about the weather.
Yes. Oh, another one, of course, is queuing. Queuing. Standing in a line. If you ever see a line of people waiting to do something or go somewhere, you are probably in Britain.
Yeah, exactly. We love to queue.
We love it.
Where if there's a queue, people will join it just to see what's at the end of it.
If there isn't one, someone somewhere will start one.
That's maybe where that politeness comes from. Now, in some countries, if there's a bus, the people waiting for a bus, everyone will just pile on. But in the UK, if you're with the first person at that bus stop, the next person will be behind you, and so on. There will be a queue, an order, and that's a kind of respect in a way, isn't it? That is still there very much. I mean, there would be a riot if you try to jump a queue in a shop.
Okay, we're running out of time, Steve.
Then people complain. You know, you cannot get away with jumping a queue.
Yes, well, it's like what we started with, politeness. We often think of politeness. A gentleman will open the door for a lady. So that sort of politeness where a gentleman will walk down the road and he will see a woman and he will lift his hat and say, good morning. Good morning. Something like that. It doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately. Here's another one, Steve.
Go on.
Creative. Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes. What? Yes, we are... Music. Music.
Yes, music. Yes, music.
Well, that's creative, isn't it?
It is,
yes.
But, you know.
Yeah, creative. You think of music. Immediately, people will say...
Beatles.
The Beatles. British. Rolling Stones.
A lot of famous bands.
Not quite British, but...
But, you know, classical music as well.
Queen.
Elgar.
Queen. We saw Queen last night performing. Queen, British. See? Oh.
Elgar.
Elgar, Edward Elgar. He came from Worcestershire, was it?
That's right, Malvern.
Malvern, yes.
I think it's in Worcestershire, isn't it?
Elgar,
yes.
Sir Edward Elgar. Music, art as well. Art. There are a lot of famous artists.
Yeah.
John Constable. We have David Hockney. He's British. He's an artist. So we do have a lot of artists, modern art. Tracy Emin, who is a well-known artist, female artist. Of course, we have people in the sports world, footballers.
We're famous for football and cricket, of course. Nobody's mentioned cricket.
Everything.
Everyone associates the British with cricket. Golf as well, but certainly cricket.
Yes. I suppose football and cricket are probably the games that people think of most of all. But
tennis, Wimbledon.
Yes, tennis. I think we invented tennis. We invented football. I think we invented rugby.
Jimmy, look what Jimmy's done. How kind.
Jimmy from Hong Kong, thank you very much for your donation on the Super Chat. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Also a lovely message talking about stereotypes of the British. Subtle. Mannerisms. God Save the Queen. Wimbledon. Fish, chips and puddings. All of those things are exactly what you think of. You are right when we think about British people. I'm not sure, and this is interesting while we're talking about this, are we typical British people?
I don't know.
Are we typical human beings, I wonder?
Are we setting a good example for British people?
Ah, that's a good one.
Are we? We don't want to, detract from British people. Yes, are we? Do you see us as typically British people?
Are we a good representation of the British person, or are we the worst? Be honest. It's okay. I can take it. I've been on YouTube for many years. I can take it on the chin, as they say. So creativity, I think so, yes. Well, we often think of the film industry as well. A lot of big film studios still exist for various reasons. You think of James Bond. They are made here in this country. Star Wars, the original Star Wars films were produced in England, in London. So all of the studio work was done at a place called Elstree Studios in London. And it's still used now. In fact, the BBC also films a lot of their dramas at Elstree Studio, in the same place where Star Wars was made. James Bond, of course, is not. I think James Bond was made at Pinewood Studios.
Fascinating.
That's a different... No, it is fascinating, though, because it's creativity.
Yes, here we go, Sylvia. British people don't kiss and hug each other very often. Here in Brazil, we do it all the time. That is very true. When you greet somebody in the UK, it is not typical to hug them or kiss them.
We do not like body contact.
Although that is changing, because when I greet work colleagues now, I've noticed over the last sort of particularly 5 or 10 years, people always want to greet you with a hug more now than they used to.
Maybe a little pat on the bottom.
I mean, typically you would greet somebody with a handshake.
I wonder what you're going to say. UK. I wondered what you were going to say then. I was going to say that is very friendly.
But a handshake would be the typical way. Still today, obviously not since COVID.
No,
but
no, COVID did.
It sort of ruined the handshake
and the high five as well. But that's a good thing. If there is one good thing about COVID, it stopped people from doing high fives.
We didn't do those very often, did we?
No, we don't. No, but generally people who do it, but it's annoying when you see people do it. A nice, good, firm handshake. Nice to meet you, or maybe a little slap on the shoulder, or maybe just a
handshake.
Pinch their bottoms just a little bit.
Well, somebody did mention earlier that British people like to show their bottoms. I think that's not generally the case.
It is true. Especially teenagers. Teenage lads, they will get in the car, they will drive, they will have some beers, and then they will drive down the road, and the lads in the back will pull their pants and trousers down and show their bare buttocks.
I've never seen that.
Bare buttocks.
I've obviously missed that.
It's called mooning. Everyone knows what mooning is.
I don't think it's necessarily associated with British people.
We do it all. Yes,
we don't do it all the time.
Mooning is British as it's as British as Yorkshire puddings. In fact, some people's bottoms.
Don't listen to him. Rhubarb doesn't think that we're particularly typically British people. I would say rhubarb to that. I won't explain that joke. Yes. Somebody mentioned something else I was going to read as well. Harry Potter. Yes, that's very British.
Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling. I can never work out how to say it. J.K. Rowling or J.K. Rowling. Of course.
We'll have to ask her.
She's not very popular at the moment for various reasons. Here's the final one, Steve. British people are animal lovers.
Yes, nobody's mentioned that.
No, we are well known for taking care of our dumb animals. Animal lovers. Dogs, cats, fish, rabbits, guinea pigs. Mr. Steve, he's my pet. I just wish he would stop doing his poops on the carpet.
Yes, British people are very well known for having pets, dogs, in particular cats, budgerigars. Not so much now, but certainly they used to be popular. Yes, we do, and it's gone bananas. It's gone mad during COVID.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to own a pet now, a dog.
Around here, everyone has a dog. We are the only people now who live in the small village where we live. We're the only people that don't have a dog.
We are, yes.
We're the only people that don't have a dog. Everyone else has a dog.
Yes, we do drink tea quite often. We have at least 2 cups a day.
We will be having one in a few moments.
We will. Most British people, I mean, coffee is probably more popular than tea now. In fact, they're certainly equally popular. I think a few years ago, coffee became slightly more popular because, of course, the American influence. Well, probably continental as well, but we do still like our tea. It's still a very popular drink. Hooligans, says Fatey, yes. Football hooligans.
Yes.
We've mentioned that one earlier on. We are quite well known.
We can say hooligan or yob, Y-O-B, is an aggressive young person. Quite often we associate it with a violent, aggressive person, quite often when they've had a lot to drink, and maybe after a football match, and maybe their team has lost, and then they go out into the street and they fight with the opposite team fans, and they go, oh, you think you're better than me, and they go, oh, you're better than me, and then they have a fight and they throw chairs at each other, and then later on they're all lying in the street, aren't they, drunk, and they can't remember anything. Some of them wake up in bed together because they've had far too much to drink, and they go, oh, what have we done?
Mr. Bean, somebody mentions as well.
Good.
What about Mr. Bean, says Jimmy.
British.
And Beyond Awake also mentioned Mr. Bean, which is typical sort of British comedy, really. Very eccentric, an eccentric character.
Yes. Although
example.
Ironically, he is actually based on a French character, Mr. Bean.
Right.
Yeah, a French character made famous by Jacques Tati. Did you know that? You did not. Well, now you do.
Yeah, so many things people associate British people with, but yes. So, yeah, we've had a fun time, haven't we, today?
Yes, I have enjoyed this. You have made our Jubilee more special by being there, joining you on today's special.
And we're now going to do something very British. I'm going to make some tea, and we're going to have a tea cake.
Yes, well, I'm not, because they're horrible.
OK, I'll have 2 tea cakes.
No, you won't. You'll have one because I gave one to the birds this morning.
And I shall sit down and watch what is left of the pageant. I'm sure we've missed the best bits.
I'm sure we've missed.
But I want to watch it because, it's something that we won't see again, probably, ever.
No, well, there won't be another 70th anniversary, will there?
Benny Hill.
Of anything.
Marshmallows. Oh, they're all coming through. Monty Python says, Tomek's here.
Yes. Hello, Tomek.
Yes, eccentric British humour at its best, probably.
Yeah. Monty Python.
Yeah. So anyway, it was lovely to be here.
Even Charlie Chaplin as well, British. A lot of people forget that. Stan Laurel from Laurel and Hardy, British. He came from Yorkshire. Ulmston, I think, was the town where he lived. Yeah. So there you go. It's time to say goodbye.
I wonder if Tomek's been here all along, but just has been silent, being very polite, very British, I think, in that behaviour, just remaining in the background.
I suppose before we go, Palmyra says Winston Churchill. I think so. I think when we think of the British spirit,
the bulldog spirit,
yes, we often think of Winston Churchill, of course, a person who became very prominent during the Second World War. Ironically, can you believe it? Ironically, he helped defeat the Nazis during the Second World War with his stoicism and his British bulldog spirit. However, we kicked him out afterwards. We actually voted him out. Which doesn't seem very nice, really. It doesn't seem very grateful. However, when the country hit lots of other problems, everyone voted him back in. So he's one of the few people to be voted out and voted back into power. Winston Churchill.
Right, okay, interesting. Right, yes, well, it's been lovely being here and trying to be British. Tomac was watching the tennis. Interesting.
Yes. I think he wants...
I'll forgive you.
It's Rafael Nadal playing?
Yes.
I think so, yes. He has lovely legs.
Sexy Raphael.
He has lovely legs. I wish my legs looked like Nadal's legs. I don't care about anything else, just the legs.
I think Pedro looks a bit like Nadal.
Really?
I'm only joking. Well, anyway, I think Pedro was on earlier, wasn't he?
I think so.
Yes.
For a few moments.
Right, well, lovely to be here and see you again next week. After the pageant, and everything's calmed down from all this Britishness.
And I will be back with you on Wednesday as well. I should mention that quickly before, because I'm sure a lot of people will leave now, because people only come to see you. They only come to see Steve. They don't come to see me. They say, no, we don't want to see him, that silly man with the glasses. We want to see the sexy guy with the prominent features. And that's you, of course. It's okay. I can take it. If you want to ignore me and push me aside, it's okay.
You want my British aloofness?
Yes. Give me your best British pose before I fade you away. Very nice. We will see Mr. Steve next week, looking very regal and royal. And I will see you on Wednesday.
Bye.
There he goes. Mr. Steve has left the studio. He's now going to watch the rest of the Jubilee pageant. There isn't much time left on that one. I think it ends... no, actually, I think it ends at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock maybe. So we've got about another hour, maybe 2 hours of the royal pageant still to go. Thank you very much for your company. I am also going to have a cup of tea with my finger pointed out like that. You always have your little finger pointed outwards when you drink your tea like a British person. You also sip. You don't slurp. Remember that. You sip your tea. You don't slurp. Never, never, ever. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you also for your donation on the live chat as well. Thank you very much. Jimmy in Hong Kong. It's very kind of you. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you've enjoyed all of this. I'm going to leave you with the video that I showed earlier, taken during our walk. A lot of people said how much they enjoyed it, and so I'm going to play it again. See you on Wednesday. I'm back on Wednesday from 2 p.m. UK time, and hopefully you will be there as well. This is Mr. Duncan on a very special royal day here in England, saying I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope we have managed to bring some of the festive cheer your way. And of course, until the next time we meet right here on YouTube, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I suppose... Thank you very much for joining me today. It has been lots and lots of fun. Ta-ta for now.